What I'm passionate about is true to label so that people get and understand what they're investing in. I've seen many types of investment purporting to be one thing and ending up something else, but you've got to take certain steps to protect your investors as much as you can and communicate with them very strongly about what it is they're doing and what we think's happening in the market as well. When I was at the tender age of 22, I applied for a position which I thought was in the finance industry. It turned out to be in the commercial real estate industry, and it's fascinated me ever since. Real estate affects all our lives. Everything we do on the planet has some connection with real estate, and that became sort of something I just wanted to serve. Having been in the industry and been through a number of investment cycles, we do go through some upheavals, and the first major one was 1990. Investment markets, through the weight of debt, collapsed, and that stays with you, and you think, how can I make sure that I mitigate the risks that the investors are having, and whatever happens, communicate what is going on to them. Anyone can invest when markets are going up and you look good, but it's when they're coming down or they're about to come down, you hold hard and you don't invest because you don't believe it's the right time. That's what you're paid to do. The only thing you take to your grave, I think, is your integrity, and beyond that, you don't take much else. So I think if you can do your very best to get the outcomes that you've suggested to your investors, that's what you strive to do.
Greg Paramor will be pitching the Folkestone philosophy on direct property investing in the unlisted space. He'll be looking to show the Guardians why property is an essential element in an investor's portfolio.
I'm here today to talk about unlisted property or direct property ownership. Direct real estate, it's for income and capital appreciation. It does provide competitive returns against all other asset classes, and if you look at it over 1, 3, 5, 10 and even 15 years, you'll see that the returns that have been produced by direct property investment as measured throughout the industry, it's somewhere between 9 and 10% as a total return, made up of 7 to 8% of income and the balance in capital appreciation. What we wanted to do with Folkestone is to try and put us at all times in the same seat as the investor, and in most of our investments we actually co-invest. So our philosophy is very much one of simplicity. Don't get overcomplicated. Today, don't over-leverage. The big problem that occurred pre-2008 occurred in 1989, occurred in the mid-70s with the big crashes that occurred in the commercial property markets and indeed in the residential markets, was broadly caused by over-leverage, when people borrowed too much money expecting to get an ever-increasing rate of return. It doesn't go on forever. We don't we don't borrow any more than 50% of the asset's price, so we've always got a buffer in between us and the bank. So if prices do go down, you have a buffer in there, and that's very, very important. What we look for in real estate is an old adage that you actually make your profit when you buy real estate by the price you pay at the beginning, not the sale price. Why do I say that? Because if you've bought well, you're building in protection against the markets going up and going down. So it's all about the buying. It's about being patient, it's persistence, it's making sure on a top-down approach we look at the macroeconomic influences that affect our market. But the other great opportunity in real estate is obviously the bottom-up, picking that particular stock. They do it in equities as well. Has that good fundamentals? Is that a very good asset? Is that something we can release? Is it something we can reposition? Will the tenants want to use that space in 5 years' time or whatever? So those are the things we particularly look for when we're buying property. The three areas that Folkestone are involved in, from the least risk, that's our income products, that's buying assets that have very good lease covenants and have long-term leases in the main. They're our income series, and they have a higher level of income that will flow to investors, modest capital appreciation at sort of inflation range, so protecting the value of your asset against inflation, but looking at that income. On the value add area, that might be looking at assets that have lease renewals coming up, have some other characteristic that makes it a higher risk, but will also give you a slightly higher return. And then we've got, at the higher risk, development products where we're actually building things from the ground up, maybe apartments, maybe offices, maybe industrial, maybe retail, and they have inherent risks. And that, once again, the public have to be very well aware of, that it's all very well to say, wow, look at this, we can make all this money because it says so in the document, but understand the risks you're taking, understand the debt profile, understand the risk profile of the asset, and particularly the risk profile of the manager. Is that person also putting money into that project as well as you are? All those things need to be taken into account. One of the first things I learned in funds management, and it was from a chairman of the first company that I was involved in, and he said at the first board meeting, just remember it's grandma's money. And that's a truism that stays with us all. We can't determine markets, we can look at them, we can work with them, we can assess where we think they're going, make sure that we're looking after that as best we might and do it in an appropriate way.
Thanks, Greg. Given we're focused on the unlisted space today, could you explain what your valuation policy is and how frequently you actually value the properties?
Whilst it's by law every 3 years, we do it every 12 months. If there's any significant change, either going down or going up, we will bring that forward as a matter of course.
Thanks, Greg. You're in a unique position, having been in the industry for nearly 40 years. What are the key changes you've seen in terms of the investment profile of the unlisted property market over that time frame?
I think there's a level of governance that has improved, albeit slowly, and we saw a raft of disasters in 2008, not just in the unlisted space, but across everything really. Tragically, we'll see that again, so it's got to be up to the investors and their advisors to really look hard at what you're doing and what you're getting, and why. You still get nervous when you go and present to people. We had a lot of positive communication about it and some of the nuances about what happens with direct real estate investing. They seem very comfortable with our product range from what I gather, but we'll wait and see.